What's up guys, it's Missy. I'm back with another SimCity build a video. Today we're going to be doing a task assessment video. How to do a task assessment. For those of you guys who watched that video yesterday that I put up, I had issues with the screen, so I had to redo it. So this is the redo video, okay? I might be able to split it into two different videos because we got some stuff to talk about when it comes to why you're labeling the things that you are, but the first part of the video, we're going to focus on how to do a task assessment. All right. So this is somebody else's list, and I did a task assessment based on them being a low-level player, not a high-level player. Okay, this is the top portion of their list. So when you open up the Contest to Mayors document, this is what you're going to see, okay? Here, it's going to give you the legend that you need to know for the breakdown. You've got premium, non-premium, no-touch, cancel, high premium. On the right, you have main, rotatable, last resort rotatable, limited, and limited time. Main is a task that is in your list worth 2,000 points or higher. Basically, the way that this is you have one side of your screenshot that is going to be your predictive column. That is what you know that assignment has the ability to be worth. The right side of the screenshot, or it doesn't really matter what side you put it on as long as you have it separate, okay? So on one side of your photo, you're going to have the predictive column. Like, this assignment has the ability to be worth X amount of points, and we'll go through what that means. On the other side of the screenshot, you're going to have the column that says basically what it is worth currently. Based on what it can be worth and what it is currently worth is going to determine the priority in which you're going to rotate your tasks, okay? So here, a main task is a task that is in your list worth 2,000 points or higher, right? So as long as the value on the list is 2,000 points or higher, and it is a completable task for you, you would mark it with an M. If it is something that you cannot do, then you mark it no touch. If it is something that you cannot do that may need to be canceled, then you need to mark it NT/C. Anything below 2,000 points that is doable would be a rotatable assignment, okay? Unless it is a last resort rotatable. A last resort rotatable is a high algorithm non-premium assignment. Something like a repair, keys, and coins. The repair, keys, and coins is only considered a last resort rotatable when at the value of 1,200, not any other value. Coins is always considered last resort rotatable, or if you're a high level player, it's basically a no-touch task. There's never a time when you should be doing the coins as a high-level player unless you are in reverse rotation, and that would be extremely rare. Okay, so here is listed what I just told you. The coins at any value. Epic used to be a last resort rotatable for low-level players because of the streaks. You had that risk there, but now that we don't have streaks, it's not a risk, so now you can mark it rotatable. For high-level players, you guys have multiple maps. You should have multiple maps with regular residential upgrades on them, meaning that if you finished an epic, you could easily start one on a different map immediately without that downtime, so you don't have that risk that a low-level player has. So you guys should really only be rotating epics when they're at main task value. Pretty much. I mean, if you're like doing really bad that week and you've got no available doorways, then maybe. But as a low-level player, epic is going to be a lot more frequent than a high-level player. Okay, so now onto the limited time. Limited time is when that assignment can only be done during a time frame. Okay, so for example, Epic project, after it has been started, would make it a limited time. But before that, it's only a limited assignment. A limited assignment is an assignment that is limited to some kind of a resource. For example, The upgrade war card. You can only do that assignment if you have the resources to do it. Same thing with an epic. You can only do an epic project when you have enough regular residential homes. That would be limited, okay? So something of that nature. Limited time would be something like the monster or deliveries, something that has a time frame on it. Airport is not considered a limited time because you can pay cash to bring it in and it's relatively cheap. The reason that we don't consider that for the monsters because it's a ridiculous amount to call the monster in most of the time, and the assignment is non-premium anyways, right? So it's not something that you're going to be doing. The monster is something that you almost never do. The only time you should be doing the monster assignment is when the task is at 2,000 points or higher. Okay, any other time you should be leaving that to sit unless you are on the value over op, and we'll talk about what that means here in a little bit if you don't know. Okay, so premium. What is a premium assignment? This is your predictive column. So on the left-hand side, premium means that this assignment has the ability to be worth 3,000 points. When you open up the contest mayor's document, there should be a link to a bunch of screenshots that are the contest mayor's charts. That link should also be in the all docs link, and I'll make sure that it's there after I finish this video. It's basically a little cheat sheet. It's a little chart that it's got colorful boxes on it, and it tells you what assignments are premium, what assignments are non-premium, and so forth. So a premium assignment is a task that can be worth 3,000. A non-premium cannot be worth 3,000, and a high premium can be worth over 3,000. Okay? So you've got the side of your screenshot that's telling you what the task can be worth, and you've got the side that's telling you what it is worth. Now let's talk about why we're breaking this down. What's the importance in this? Well, one, it tells you what you need to know to better arrange your list. So now we're going to talk about how and why you're doing what you're doing. Okay, so you can take a screenshot of your list and then insert it into some kind of a photo editing app. This one I used PixArt. You can use Canva, you can use whatever. You crop the photo down however you want to crop it down if you want to, and then you just put the text around the photo. Now this photo I didn't have enough room around it, otherwise I would have put these a little to the left so you could see better on what the assignments were, but it's what I had to work with, okay? So, based on certain criteria, choices are going to change. Task assessments are going to change. You have to pay attention to what criteria it is that you're working with. If you're a low-level player, then you consider shop productions and factory productions as premium. If you're a high-level player, then you consider them non-premium. Okay? Now, the old town home can be worth 3,600 points. It's showing you that right here in the screenshot. Okay? So, why are we marking it high premium for a low-level player? Because that's what it has the ability to be worth. It's not that we're going to do it. It's that that's what it has the ability to be worth. Now, why does that matter? Why don't we just cross it off and black it out and ignore it for the duration of the contest? Well, because it has the ability to be worth that. It means that it's taking up a spot on your list worth a high value, which is important to know. It's also important when it comes to canceling upgrades. You need to know which ones to cancel and why, which ones bring more risk and which ones don't. Let's say that the old town home was here for 2,400, and we had a regular residential here for 2,400. Which one should we cancel? As a low-level player, you don't want to cancel something that can come back worth more points, right? So the high premium at midway value would be the one you would not want to cancel. And that is why that is important that you know the difference between what is non-premium and what is high premium, okay? So let's say that the high premium is where it is right now. It's at its highest value, and that we have a 2,400 regular residential. Which one should we cancel and why? The old town. Why? Because it's holding a 3,600 place value on your list, and because the algorithm for Old Town is actually lower. So that helps with the fact that we're not taking a risk here. There is no risk. The worst thing that can possibly happen is that the assignment comes back for the same amount that it's already there for. It can't come back for more. It can only come back for equal or less. That is why you guys need to pay attention to high premium, non-premium, premium, okay? For upgrades as low-level players. Now, NT/C. Why are you putting that on the list? This tells you you can't do the assignment, but that you should keep a cancellation in mind. So if you're not getting anything good, if it's blocking you up, if you have 3 or more main tasks taken up on your list, you may need to consider a cancellation. You don't do cancellations if the assignment just came in, or if you recently had an upgrade come into your list. You want to give it at least a few assignments beforehand to make sure you're not just going to immediately get it back, okay? The next one is a premium. Increase storage capacity. Now this assignment has a high algorithm attached to it. It's pretty much always in your list, right? It's also limited. You can only do it when you have the resources to do it. It's also a main task. So it's a limited main task that is premium, right? Okay. So what does this mean for you? This means if you can only do the assignment once for the whole duration of the contest, and it's not blocking up one of your good doorways, then you should leave this assignment to sit until the very end. Because when you do this assignment, it will come right back. It will. And when it does, it'll probably block off one of the doorways that was actually being good to you. And in which case, you'll either have to ignore the assignment and try to work around that good doorway and probably lower your average quite significantly. Or you'll have to try to cancel it and try to open up your good doorway and get this back on a different doorway. So you'd have to try to do a doorway flip, which would be a hit on your score. So if you know you can only do this task once, just wait until it's not a risk to you, okay? Non-premium, submit design challenge. Now, the non-premium submit design challenge is also the same for a design upgrade. Here's the thing, though. The Submit Design Challenge can only be worth one type of value. That's 2,500. It can't be worth any more, can't be worth any less. That being said, we mark this no-touch cancel. However, because this assignment has such a high algorithm, it typically does come back relatively soon. So if you are canceling this, it is because you are trying to get that same assignment back for a lower value. It's because you have too many main doorways taken up, and you've deemed that even though it is risky, that you need the value opened up, okay? This should never be canceled for the purpose of opportunity. Opportunity alone is when you cancel an assignment or you complete an assignment to bring in better assignments. That's what opportunity is. Value opportunity is when you are looking for opportunity within the value. Right? So by completing a 3K task, you're opening up the ability to get more 3K tasks. You're not looking at the task itself, you're just looking at the value. When you do a cancellation on a task that will return, you're not getting opportunity. You're getting value opportunity. You're hoping that you can replace that same task in the list for a lower value so that you can get better valued assignments to come in. If you have, in this case, this person is a low-level player, they can't do the Old Town. They can't do the storage every time it pops up. They have the Submit Design Challenge. Now they have the Expand City. They have 4 main doors taken up, none of which they can do. Even if they can do the storage and the Expand City, they're going to return. So they're not good opportunity. So in this case, the person will absolutely have to cancel the Old Town at some point. And probably the design challenge as well. Okay, so it is really important for low-level players to get these expand cities done as fast as you possibly can. Obviously, storage would be ideal as well, but I mean, realistically, that takes a lifetime, so you just gotta work around that one. The Expand City is a non-premium, limited main assignment. Now we have a grass assignment for 1,600. Now, for a low-level player, we consider this to be premium, okay? It is below the 2,000 points range. It is a doable assignment, so it's not something we would ignore. It's not something that we would cancel. That makes it a rotatable task. Now, one mistake that a lot of people make is when they see an assignment for a very low value, they automatically consider it no touch because of its value. Never consider an assignment no touch simply because of its value. Okay? If you're considering it no touch, there should be other reasons for it. For example, if that grass was at 800, a lot of people would say, oh, well, it's too low, I'm not going to do it. Well, as a low-level player, yeah, you are, actually, because as you complete your assignments throughout the week, your list is going to fill up with upgrades and things you can't do. So by completing that 800-point task, you might take a little bit of a hit on your score, but it's going to open up better opportunity for you, okay? So don't just cross it off just because of the value. Always mark, if something is doable, if it's not a no-touch, if it's not a non-premium LR, then you mark it rotatable if it's below the 2,000, and you mark it main if it's above the 2,000. Okay, the next one is a premium limited time rotatable. So this is where knowing the value possibility comes in. For example, this is a war delivery assignment. This one is actually really a premium. It can actually be worth 3,000 points. It is 100 points less than the grass. So you have to ask yourself, is it worth the sacrifice to do the 100 points less to open up the possibility for a 3K task? And the answer is yes. But it's not just because of that. What other reason should we prioritize the war assignment? Because it's limited time. It can only be done during war or on the monster, right? So that makes it a little bit more of a priority. That's why you guys need to make sure you're labeling these. Okay, so let's move to the second portion of the list. Here we have a produce chemicals assignment. Shop productions and factory productions are considered premium for low-level players. However, if you refer to your contest to mayor's document or that quick cheat sheet guide that I've given you, the chemicals at a certain value are considered last resort rotatable or no touch. So what is a last resort rotatable? A last resort rotatable assignment is something that you would not do unless there are 3 circumstances in which you would complete a last resort rotatable assignment, okay? 1, you're in reverse rotation. You have to know how to diagnose that. What that means is that you don't have anything in your list besides the storage assignment, right? Besides something that's like always there. You don't have anything in your list that is there for 2,000 points or higher. That every single assignment you've done, no matter what doorway you've tried, has given you a very low point task, like 1,000 points. You're running a 1K average. That is reverse rotation. At which point you're better off doing your high algorithm non-premiums to boost up your score about 200 points per average to the 2,000. That's a rare thing to have happen. That's one scenario. The second scenario when you would do a last resort rotatable is when you're trying to flip a doorway. Now, this is also another rare occurrence, but lately, and I don't know if SimCity changed something, it's been happening to people a lot more, so that's why I'm going to touch base on it. So let's say that you've rotated your list around, okay? You've been doing your assignments, whatever, and you've been taking your screenshots of every choice that you make, because that is so crucial. I cannot voice that enough. You have to have an album. You have to. And we're going to go through why that's important in another video, but you have to. Okay, so now you've got your screenshots, okay, and you're looking through and you're seeing that, hey, wait a minute here, all of the doorways that were good to me, and a doorway is just a slot on the list. So let's say that we completed the chemicals and we got a VU for 3K, and then we got a 2K war delivery, and then we got another 2K assignment. That specific slot on the list, we haven't moved slots. That's the only one we've done. That's a doorway, okay? It's been good to us. So now Let's pretend that it gets sealed back up with the chemicals. Okay, so we did the chemicals, right? We found out this doorway was really good, and then it immediately got replaced with chemicals. So now what do? We've got nothing else that's doable in our list. Let's pretend that. Nothing else that's really promising. We would have to do what we call a doorway flip. That is where you take what is currently on the good doorway and you flip it to another door. So we would do the chemicals, and then no matter what assignment that we got in return, let's say we did the chemicals for round 2, okay? And we got a 3K delivery. You're going to see that and you're going to want to do that, and you're not going to do it, okay? You're going to ignore it, and you're going to do a different doorway. And you're going to flip the chemicals back onto a different doorway. Then you go back to that door and you work that doorway that's more available. Now with the chemicals, the algorithm is not quite that high. But with something like a 1200 repair and a 1200 keys, it is. I showed you guys an example of a doorway flip last week. I had somebody rotate keys for like 1200. Then they opened up their doorway. They got a 3K delivery. We rotated a different doorway, and we got the keys back. Now, one thing you have to pay attention to when you do a doorway flip is that you're not flipping it to another last resort rotatable. So if you take a keys doorway for 1200 and you flip it out, you have to have somewhere to put it, right? So if you flip it on a repair doorway and the repair comes right back on your good door, you've defeated the entire purpose. So it has to be a doorway with a good opportunity to it that just hasn't been good to you. So something like a grass assignment would work, right? Third scenario, when you would do a last resort rotatable. This is the most common scenario. This is really when you would pretty much almost always do it. When you look at the rules of rotation, not the order of rotation, the rules of rotation, you have X amount of assignments, okay, given to you. And you want to complete those assignments based on the highest value, the best opportunity, and a whole bunch of other criteria, right? But at some point, you're running out of assignments. This is where we call value trumps op. Okay? So the last 15 assignments that you complete, whether it be the last 15 tickets or the last 15 assignments. So if you know you're going to use tickets, then you don't do value over op until then. What this means is that you complete your highest valued assignment that you can complete that is not a no-touch or cancel. You don't do any cancellations during value over op. You just do value over op. So let's say that you have 2 assignments, or you have 2 tickets left, okay? And you have a monster for 1500. That assignment is your highest assignment in your list that is doable for you. That would be the one to do because you would be gaining those extra points, okay? But if you have like 20, 30 assignments left, you know the monster's only going to return. So you really need to look for opportunity at that point. Opportunity over value does not mean that you always look for opportunity and ignore value. That is not what it means. It means that you are looking for opportunity to gain more value later, but value is still considered. Whereas when value over op occurs, you're going to just get the extra points, okay? So last resort rotatables. You're on your last 15 tickets. The highest assignment in your list is a 1200 keys, 1200 repair, and a coins assignment for, let's say, 1350. The coins assignment typically returns within 4 to 6 rotations. So if you have 15 tickets remaining, the coins would be the better one of the 3 to attempt first. If the coins returns immediately, then you move to the keys first, because the keys usually takes a little bit longer to return, and when it does return, it usually comes back for a little bit more than the repair. If neither of those have been decent to you, then you move to the repair. You don't automatically do your last resort rotatables simply because you have value over op. You have to look at the value in your list. For example, if you have a 1600 grass, and you are in your last 15 tickets, don't do a 1200 repair over the grass. Do the grass. Okay, you're getting those extra 400 points. So again, the only time you do last resort rotatables, and I cannot tell you guys how many people do this. There'll be like 40 tasks remaining. Their list is just doing terribly. They can't open anything up. And they're like, is it keys now? And it's at 1200. I'm like, what do you mean? You have 30 assignments left. 30 to 40 assignments left, plus tickets. And you're already resorting to closing off all opportunity? Because here's exactly what's going to happen, all right? They're going to do that assignment. And when it's at the value of 1200, it is at its lowest value point, which means it will return. And when it does, it's going to return for either 1200, 1600, or 2000. When it returns for 2000, great, fine, you can do it. Sure, if it does that. But then again, you're going to get a couple more tasks, and then it's going to return again. At some point, it's going to return for the 1200. And when it does, you're going to be sitting there, having lowered your average significantly, and you're going to be looking at the exact same list that you were looking at before, except for now you have a lower average. And you're going to be looking at this list going, great, now what do I do? That didn't work. I'm already going to tell you that's not going to work. You don't have to test it to know that that's not going to work for you, okay? I would say that when I do comm training, that is the biggest thing that I have to break people of, is getting them to understand that last resort rotatable doorways are not the answer, okay? They're not. So, when you are faced with a situation where you are looking at your list and nothing seems doable, now mind you, like I said, only keys and repair at the value of 1200 are last resort rotatables. If they're at 1600 or 2000, they're not at their lowest value point, which means they're taking up one of your main doorways, okay? 1600 isn't technically a main doorway, but it's right around midway value, so it's worth at least trying to get it down there to the 1200, or, you know, if it comes back for 2000, great, but like I said, eventually it'll be there for 1200. That being said, the only time that you guys should be doing that is in one of those three scenarios that I just explained. If you're in a situation where you have a lot of assignments left, more than 15, okay, and you have nothing doable in your list, and you're looking at these last resort rotatables, you know you don't need a doorway flip. You know that even if you needed to doorway flip, maybe you don't have a doorway to flip it on, okay? Then you have to look at the surrounding assignments, and you look somewhere, and you say, where can I open something up? Where is my lowest algorithm assignment with the highest value? So if you have an upgrade you can cancel or something like that, that's what you're going to look for. You have to look for opportunity somewhere, whether it be within value opportunity or opportunity, okay? All right, so same thing with the coins, same scenarios. Now, the non-premium, no-touch, limited time monster. This assignment, we mark no touch if it's below the 2000, and the reason being is because it is really, really rare that you ever have to do this task in value over op. Like, almost never. Because here's usually what happens is, even when you want to do it during the last 15 assignments, normally he's not even in the city anyways, so marking it as an LR task, people are confused by that, and they usually make a lot more mistakes. They'll pay like $80 to bring him in, or they'll do that assignment way too early, so we just mark it no touch, but consider it to be something, you know, if it lasts like 5 assignments or something, if it's your highest one, then yeah, try to do it. If you know that you have 2 days left in the contest, okay, and you're trying to finish your last assignment, Monster doesn't get there for another day and a half, you can wait the day and a half. It's not going to kill you to wait, right? Once you complete the assignment, you just leave it unclaimed. Then at the end of the contest, you can boost over your points right before the very end, about 30 seconds before the end. And you can boost above somebody, okay? Okay, the VU Premium. This assignment can be worth up to 3,000 points. That's why it's marked Premium. It is below 2,000 points, so that's why it's marked Rotatable. Now we have a non-premium Paris at rotatable value. I believe it's at the value of like 800. Even though it's at 800, it's still rotatable because we're looking at the opportunity here. Okay, so like I said, as you start rotating things out, your list is going to start to fill up with things you can't do, and you're going to start looking for opportunity elsewhere. One thing that you need to be very careful of is when you rotate a 1,000 point assignment as a low-level player. Typically, it does kick back a 3K task. However, when you don't have very many upgrades in your list, it is more rare to get something good. It is more likely you're going to get an upgrade. As a high-level player, that's excellent, but as a low-level player, that is terrible. Okay, so try to only rotate the 1K tasks when you have at least a few upgrades in your list, or when you've already rotated the other ones. So, like, for example, this is a huge difference between high and low-level players. Remember that 1,600 grass we have above? As a high-level player, you would ignore the grass because it's non-premium, and you would do the VU. You would sacrifice those 600 points, and you would likely get a 3K upgrade or whatever in return when you do the VU. Because you're a low-level player and you can't afford the risk with the upgrade, you are limited to other assignments that you can complete. Okay? That being said, you would actually do the grass over the VU. Okay? Because if you do the VU and you get an upgrade, you're screwed. That's just another cancellation. So not only did you take a really big hit on your score, but now you have to take another hit on your score to cancel. And then you have to hope that the upgrade doesn't return. So now you've really hurt your score by rotating that VU too early. Okay? Alright, the last one is the Epic. That is a non-premium rotatable assignment. We used to mark it LR because of the streaks, but now we mark it R. Okay? Hopefully this better explains to you guys kind of how this task assessment thing works. So look on the Contest of Mayors cheat sheet that I've given you guys, and make sure that if you're high or low level that you're marking things correctly. Okay? The predictive column is going to be the left-hand side. That's what the task has the ability to be worth. This is going to be important for when you guys rotate things. Okay, so you're going to want to take the highest probability of getting a decent task with the highest, opportunity in value, right? You're going to look at algorithm, you're going to look at all kinds of scenarios. But the first part of the breakdown comes to this now. Let's practice something, okay? Let's go here. Edit. Oops. I guess it's not going to let me edit sideways. Okay. So, let's say that we are a low-level player. Cross that off. Cross this off. This off. This off. Okay. All right. Now, where the hell did it go? Hold on. Okay. So, you're looking at your list, and you've crossed off everything that you can't do. That's where you start first. Okay? And you look at what you can do. So that would be the two bottom assignments here, the premiums down below. Okay? Now you begin with a task versus task comparison. We're going to pretend that this was the entire list. Okay? And we're going to look at value first. Which one is higher in value? The grass, right? Which one has better value opportunity? The grass. Value always matches value opportunity. So if value is good, value opportunity is good, If value is bad, then value opportunity is bad. Okay? So both are premium for low-level players, right? However, we need to look at value possibility because that's kind of the tricky part about being a low-level player. Technically, the grass can't be worth 3,000 points. But leaving that out of it, do we have a history with either one of these assignments? Have we done these assignments and they keep coming back? No, we haven't, right? What else? The type of assignment. We already went through that. That's premium, non-premium. Algorithm. Which one has a better algorithm? They're both about the same. Okay? More deliveries might be a little bit better, but in general, they're about the same. What else? One is limited time, right? So what's going on in your game? Is there something going on in your game that would make this take priority over the other one? Well, yeah, if you're in war or the monster's there, you're limited time. So now you have an assignment that can actually be worth 3,000 points that is limited time, and it's only a 100 point value difference. I would go with the word deliveries. Okay? Also, it's going to depend on what is going on in your game category. Did you prep grass? If the answer is no, I did not prep grass, I prepped saps. Do you really want to throw away that many saps that are prepped for grass right now when you could do the war deliveries? Probably not worth it, right? Okay, so that's how things are going to change your outcome. Now, that list that I'm talking about that I'm kind of retrieving from my head, I have that typed up for you guys. Every single time that you guys make a selection, you have to go through that list. Okay? So let's pretend that you're a high-level player. You're not a low-level player. Okay? You're high-level. What is the choice? The old townhome, right? It's the highest one on the list. It's doable. We wouldn't be marking a no-touch. We would be marking it a main task. Let's pretend that that's not on the list. That the design challenge has already been done, passed, you can't do it. So now you mark it no touch, cancel. Okay? So now what do you do? Well, shop productions are non-premium for high-level players. So we would actually mark the grass non-premium, right? Once all main tasks have been dealt with, or at least you can't do them, right? For high-level players, you move to your highest premium with best algorithm. That would mean the war deliveries. So it turns out to be basically the same choice for high and low-level player in this instance, except for, of course, that old townhome. But not for all of the same reasons, right? You have to look at why you're doing what you're doing, okay? And that'll determine if what you're doing is correct. Okay, different scenario. Let's pretend that you're a high-level player. Here you have a premium chemicals. That is not premium for high-level players. It's non-premium. Then you have a premium VU, non-premium Paris, non-premium on the Epic. Okay? For high-level players, you do not, under any circumstances, do the Paris in this instance, because we know we don't have a history with these. Let's pretend that you did have a history. Okay, let's say that you've done the VU multiple times, and it keeps coming back for 1,000 points. It's not being good to you, that doorway sucks, it's just terrible. Then you would do the Paris. That's the only scenario where you would pick Paris in this instance, okay? You would not do the chemicals. Not even for a second would you think about doing the chemicals. Chemicals has a higher algorithm attached to it. It's not super high, but it is higher than the other factory tasks. And they can't be worth very much. They just keep coming back, and they're going to make you junk all of your downtime that you have prepped for electrical, and it's just a pain in the butt, okay? So let's say you're a low-level player, and you don't have very many upgrades in your list. Is VU the right choice? Probably not. You know, you got to really think about, do you want to take that risk? Now, you also have to think about history. Have you done this assignment yet? If you have, has it been good to you? Okay? All of these criteria are things that you have to be able to remember. That is part of why those screenshots matter so much, okay? The main reason why you need the screenshots, and I'm going to talk about this in the doorway video, is because you have to be able to look back at patterns as to what doorway matches good stuff and where the tasks are coming from, okay? So, let's end this video here. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comments section. Hopefully this helps you guys better understand how to do a task assessment and why it's important. But if you're ever stuck and you don't know what to do a task assessment. Start there. Cross off anything that you wouldn't be doing or that you can't cancel or whatever. Go through and break everything down. Once you do that, you'll be left with, you know, 3 tasks, whatever. Take those few tasks that you're left with and start doing task versus task comparisons. Say, okay, I'm doing, you know, this is why I would do this is why I wouldn't do this, and go through that whole list.